He's still muted there.
Okay, is he unmuted now?
Oh, there you go.
There you are.
I'm the one who needed to unmute.
Okay, Brett Bender is here. All right, rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any changes to the agenda?
We have no changes on the actual agenda itself tonight, but I'm going to turn it over to Dawn here. As many of you have noticed, we made some changes on how the agenda is presented, particularly from a public access standpoint. It's still a work in progress. We'll be adding some features as we go along, but we thought it might be good for Dawn to kind of give a little overview of what we've done. And before she does that, I'd like to thank her and Dean in particular for hours and hours of work of getting to learn board pack and all the functionality. So really been the two of them making that happen.
So, we talked about improving our accessibility to board information in order to enhance the transparency with the public. So that's why we've decided to launch this new public facing side to board pack. All of our board meeting agendas, dates, minutes, recordings are all going to continue to be posted on our website where they have been placed in the past. The difference is that there's this new kind of table that people can view that's actually embedded from board pack. Since the district's already been using board pack for internal purposes, we actually discovered that this public facing side was an option to us at no additional cost. So it was basically just a module that we hadn't tapped into. So that's kind of nice that we were able to just kind of switch into this without any additional costs. And again, thank you to Aideen for kind of learning all of this back end stuff. I know it's been a little tricky, but I think the presentation of it is super clean and I think it'll be an easy transition for the public. So what's new is we have these 3 tabs at the top. So we have future meetings, which lists all of our board meetings for the year. One little glitch that we discovered this evening was that the same day as our meeting, it actually pushes it to previous meetings. So that was something we actually just discovered about an hour ago. So we're going to work and see if we can get that changed. But before, 6 o'clock tonight, that January 19th meeting was under future meetings. And then as you can see on the far right, there's an agenda that's actually a clickable button. Once we have the minutes posted, that will also appear next to the agenda. So Chris, if you want to go ahead and click on agenda for me. So the agenda looks very similar to what the board is used to seeing in board pack, but this is what is probably the most new and exciting thing for the public. So it has all of these links to the board documents so that the public can click on those documents and see them as part of the agenda. That was something that we really weren't doing before. And in this area, obviously it has all of the items with, whether or not there will be a vote. It also includes all of, the director's reports, as well as, any of the documents that are public, information. The board documents that are for executive session will not appear here. Once the board has decided to release, documents that are no longer needed for review, those will also appear under the minutes. What else is new? So we are also going to be doing our recordings a little bit differently. So instead,
Move on, do you
oh,
want
yeah.
to show them the library that the
Oh, sure. Yep. I was going to do that last, but we.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Hey, Dawn, can I ask a question?
Sure.
The executive session minutes, is that a manual release or is it automatic within board?
It'll be something that Aideen manually will release.
Got it.
So we'll have,
Minutes are usually 18 months.
Yeah.
And then, so every 6 months, then that will be on another where we have released exec minutes.
Awesome.
it'll be very similar to what we've done in the
Yeah.
past.
Library, you said?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and look at the library. So, oh, no, it's actually, oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. I was like, don't move.
You're like Vanna White.
So this is another new feature that's pretty cool. We've got our library of documents here. So each of these is basically a folder. So the public can see any documents from the past. So things like our capital plan, considerations of bids. I mean, everything is here that, you know, would have been approved at previous meetings, documents and presentations that have been presented to the board. So this will just kind of be a home for all of those documents and will be easy for people to search through and find what they, you know, want to learn more about. So if you click on view list, it'll show you a drop down of all of those documents that have been uploaded under golf. Edine, did you have any other things to add to this particular section? I know Edine worked really hard on this section to include as much as possible. And obviously this will continue to be a work in progress, so we can continue to add to it in the future. And then going to the board recordings. So in the past, we have basically taken the audio recording and uploaded that. What we're going to be doing different now is actually doing a video recording that will get exported and put onto YouTube. And then we will be linking that YouTube link at the top of the minutes so that people can, you know, view those minutes and then easily click to find, you know, the audio and video to that meeting. The other thing that we'll be able to do is if someone has given a special presentation. So for instance, if Eric's doing his budget presentation for the year and that's in the minutes, we can actually do a time stamped link to that portion of the video so that people can just quick get to that part of the video without, you know, fast forwarding and trying to find it. So just kind of making it a lot easier to access that information and be able to hear and view things. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm hitting everything here.
When will that part come on?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like we do with our other meetings, we'll be getting the video and the minutes posted, or not the minutes, but the video will be part of the minutes and you know, be posting those through the board pack. When will the minutes?
So that's happening. So that's happening now?
Yeah, yep, tonight.
The recording. Oh, okay.
They've all been recorded, but now you'll have the video.
The video. Oh, okay, cool.
But usually with the minutes, because the minutes don't get approved until the next regular. board
No,
meeting.
I thought there was a delay in getting this working, but no,
Yeah,
there is no delay.
We're gonna give it a go tonight. So we'll
Good.
see how it goes. There may be a few hiccups. The one thing that I did want to mention too is Edine's going to be doing our voting, just like we have in the past, where you guys will give an oral vote and then she'll record it. But maybe something that we can do in the future is use board pack to do an actual voting within the system. So Edine's gonna be doing the voting, and if there's any hiccups, just bear with us as we learn this new way of doing it. Let's see, is there anything else? I think that's everything. Does anyone have any questions about the new way, the new way we're doing
The new way.
We're excited. I think it's going to be very accessible and easy for the public to use, and hopefully people can find things more quickly and easily.
Well, thank you. It was already awesome and helpful, and you could tell how much work went into it. So thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Awesome.
Since I started this whole thing, I think this will be much more appreciated in the future.
Thank you, Chris, for being.
Thank you. Okay, any other changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay. This is the first opportunity for visitors.
We do. We have one here.
Okay.
Stand up. This is Dave Kozlowski. He's our new Assistant Superintendent of Facilities. He came to us from Oak Brook Terrace Park District, where he held the role of Superintendent of Parks and Facilities. He'll manage the day-to-day operation, our maintenance and upkeep of our facilities. He was with Oak Brook Terrace, how long? 15 years. 15 years, so. Yeah.
Dave,
Welcome.
Thank you. It's been great so far.
Anyone else? Anyone online?
There's no one.
Okay. Then we'll move to the consent agenda.
Want to do correspondence?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have
I
any
did-
correspondence?
I did receive some correspondence and regarding pickleball from Cynthia Harmon, who's a Downers Grove resident. She's attended the Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the open gym times for pickleball. First off, let me give a little editorial comment. I know there's great accomplishments. A lot of things were done by the Park District last year, in the last year. Then when we get to accomplishments that we'll talk about things. One of the best has been the relining of the all 9 courts that are out in the gym space. It was a good effort with the temporary lay down lines, but it just wasn't working. But it's been great and very timely because they've been getting on some of those mornings 60 players coming. There's really only 6 courts in use. Sometimes a 7th one comes open on the other side. So Cynthia talks about the overcrowding a bit. So it's a large number of people in a very compressed time. So, she makes many points about, the additional revenue that's possible. And pickleball definitely is trending, as Bill has told us for the last so many years. And, if we can just kind of anticipate and maybe look at opening up sometimes, I think that's what she's really asking for. So.
Michelle, it's a balance of all the other activities that go in that.
Exactly.
With the pickleball. So one of the other things that I've been made aware of that is occurring, there is pickleball has kind of become a community. They've created kind of a text message group thing where if we fill up, they'll text people and say Woodridge still has space or Lamont has space. And so we're all seeing these surges as these folks are kind of moving around. And I think that's happening a little bit with us too. So pickleball is growing faster than any of us can create pickleball courts. And we're just in a supply and demand situation.
But Dawn did put together a response. Maybe if we could circulate that to the other board members, the response and her letter.
Yep.
Just so you're aware of, and it's on file. A lot of the players that are playing they're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're on Tuesday, Thursday at Woodridge. And but it is a trend. I mean, people are, and it'd be good to capitalize on some of the clinics and the lessons, maybe, certainly during the summer, once the courts are up and running, but even clinics now, I mean, people are going to Oak Brook or Westmont or Lamont for indoor lessons at this time.
how about a curiosity, do you know what the individuals are paying for a clinic?
Yeah, I do. A non-resident I know at Oak Brook pays $52 for 3 lessons that lasts about an hour. That lasts an hour and a half.
Okay.
Or it's about that same range for 1 hour class 4 times, about in that range.
Okay. Thank you.
Non-resident rate, I think residents are 42. And I just know Oak Brook, I haven't done it for,
Thank you for bringing that up. Sorry to
Yeah.
miss you. Okay. We all know pickleball we've been focused on that for the last year, really, if not more longer.
Let's be thankful we've had good weather for the build out of McCollum Park the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Which will
We are trying.
Yeah, no, it was just very busy. It's busy, very busy like this past Monday, which was a holiday.
Well, yeah.
So was the fitness center. So,
Yeah.
and then, Wednesday, I don't know, a week ago when it was a kind of a 50-degree day, a lot of people I think were playing outside because it really wasn't that many players. So it's a short season though too. So.
It is, yeah. Okay, Bill, consent agenda?
Thank you. This evening on the consent agenda, we're looking for approval of minutes, December 1st, 2022, regular session minutes, treasurer's report, investments, payment of bills in the amount of $2,654,993.05. Change order number 1, which is the deduct, D&J Landscaping Incorporated, Dunham Park Place Playground renovation 2022. Payout number 1, which is the final payout to D&J Landscaping Incorporated, Dunham Place Park Playground renovation. Payout number 4, Integrated Lakes Management Incorporated, Natural Areas, 3-year maintenance work for 2022 through 2024. Payout number 5 for FH Passion, SN Nielsen and Associates LLC, the Collin Park Playground and Tennis Improvements. Payout number 18, Hitchcock Design Incorporated, the Collin Park Playground Design. Approval of disposal ordinance 1312, an ordinance declaring certain Park District personal property as surplus and authorizing sale or disposal. Approval of deaccessioning of museum artifacts and approval of ice machine lease with Easy Ice.
Have a motion, please?
Approval of the consent agenda is outlined.
I'll second that.
Any comments, questions?
I just had a question for Bill or the rest of the team. In terms of the museum artifacts, are they available to the public if for, either for purchase or for them to take? I mean, obviously, we're decommissioning these probably because there's been a material impact, right, to them. I know we listed photographs in there,
A lot of them are duplicates
duplicates. Yeah,
or artifacts that are broken,
yeah.
things like that, that we don't have a use for, or even things that aren't from Downers Grove.
Mhm.
Potentially, I mean, I don't know
We haven't really talked about that because most of
What
it
do we do with
is
them? Just,
usually toss them because they're usually broken or,
okay,
in the case of the photographs, we have the originals, so we can always make duplicates down the road. So that wouldn't be an issue. We can take a look at that list and there's something in there that might have value. We could
Sure.
put on the website or something.
I was just curious, right? Do you know what types of photographs they are?
A lot of them are photographs of old classroom photos with a bunch of students that from maybe 50s, 40s, where we can't identify them and we already have the original.
Sure.
We always keep the originals. Where we have 3, 4, 5 copies and we don't need them all. But we don't have any identification of who's in the photo.
Got it. So there's not a tremendous amount of historical significance to the photographs, therefore probably undesirable.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
And given our tight quarters over there.
I know.
We have to pick and choose what we're hanging on to.
Okay. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Just a question on the same, like, some of them were listed as, there was a listing of education next to it. What did that mean as opposed?
So when we deaccession items, we can now use them also in our education collection.
Okay,
If they're accession in, it can only be as part of an exhibit or historical, but when we put it in the education, it can now be used. The kids can use it hands-on, use it in any of the lessons, any of the tours. So any of those items that we can do, that's why it's listed as that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Katsula,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
All right.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye. Motion passed. Action items.
We have a number of action items this evening that's around updating our manuals. This is something that we do every year at this time of year. So every year in December, January, you'll see these come through. This is a way for us to keep our manuals up to date and in compliance with changing legislation. So our first one is we're seeking approval of the updated administration's operation manual.
Do Any questions, comments, before, discussion before we,
None for me.
okay. Then could I have a motion?
Preface on these, I will do my best to answer them as Dave really spearheaded this. And Dave is at home with a new knee, so
A new,
yes.
any excuse to get out of it.
Well timed, Dave.
All right, may I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the Administrative Operations Manual.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Tula,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
Next, we're seeking approval of the updated crisis management plan.
Okay, may I have a motion?
All right. I move that the board approve the updated crisis management plan as presented and give the executive director authority to make any necessary cosmetic changes as needed going forward.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Ms. McDonald,
Aye.
Mr. Katula,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
We're seeking approval of the updated personnel policy manual.
Okay, so may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the policy changes as presented to the personnel manual.
I'll second that.
Any questions, comments, discussion? No? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom.
Aye.
Mr. Tula,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
Seeking approval of the updated safety manual.
Okay, may I have a motion for the safety manual, please?
Sure. I move to approve the updated safety manual as presented and give the executive director authority to make any necessary changes as needed going forward.
I'll second the motion.
Any questions or comments? No? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Tula,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
Next, we're looking for approval of the updated IT manual.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll recommend the approval of the IT manual, including all IT policies as presented.
Second.
Any questions?
I actually do have one.
Okay.
This one. It was kind of timely because it's the same time that we got the survey of the question or questionnaire from the auditors about cash handling procedures and all. And I was glad to see in the manual that it's got one little section that you review, the staff is to review the cash or procedures with fraud procedure, prevention procedures with the auditor. I didn't know if there's at some point, just to give me clear conscience, if you could just spend maybe on the next workshop meeting, a few minutes on addressing like the 5 questions. We're only asked 5 questions, just the 5 questions. So you can kind of have a little more knowledge as to that, okay, yes, or sometimes I put just, I don't know because we just haven't dealt with it. So it would be good to be able to just put yes, or comfortable with this. We've reviewed it and sign off on it that way. Any thoughts?
Make sure that's okay with the auditors because they want individual responses. They're trying to look like, even for me, to make sure that you don't think I'm doing something or Paul or something like that. Let me see what I can review with you before you submit it and what I can review after.
Okay.
Because I might have to wait till after it's all submitted to then go over everything.
And I'm not looking for you to tell us an answer, but just go over the procedures that if there's any fraudulent activities that we detect, that we would bring those to the board. I mean, I'm sure you would, but I've never heard you say it actually. So if you
I
get,
can do that.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Dahlstrom.
Aye. Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye. Motion passed.
We're seeking approval of the updated financial manual.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
I move to give approval of the finance manual, including all financial policies as presented.
I'll second.
Any questions? No?
If you want, if you talk a little bit about controls right now, or I could wait till the next.
Yeah, wait till, yeah,
Okay.
give yourself some.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Dahlstrom.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.
Mr. Bender.
Aye.
Chula.
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye. Motion passed.
Next, we're seeking approval of the McCollum Park sponsorship. I'll let Dawn talk a little bit about this and really great work on behalf of the marketing team to bring this forward. As part of our marketing policy, we have in there that any sponsorship that is greater than 20,000 needs to come to the board for final approval of that agreement. And so this agreement being really significantly over that is why you're seeing in your pack. So I'll turn it over to Dawn a little bit. And one of the things, just hit on what the net is after some of our expenses on that.
All right, so as was presented at the August board meeting, we had outlined some of the sponsorship potential as part of the operations plan. So we've had a lot of conversations with our high-level sponsors. There's been a lot of interest in McCollum. But Jackson Family Dentistry was right there at the very beginning saying, we want to be a part of this. They've been a sponsor of ours doing small event sponsorships since 2021, and we've been building on that. So I wanted to thank Darby Beasley. She's worked really hard at cultivating that relationship, which has led to this sponsorship agreement. So attached in your board pack is the actual agreement outlining all of the benefits that the sponsorship entails. It is a 2-year sponsorship from 2023 to 2024. Since the facility is still being constructed, we are giving quite a discount in this first year, hoping that it will continue in the future. So for the first year, the agreement would be for $5,000, and then in year 2, it would be $30,000. And they would have first right of refusal for 2025, which they are already very interested in, which is exciting. If there aren't any other questions about the agreement, we're basically looking for the board to authorize the executive director to enter into the 2-year agreement with Jackson Family Dentistry as the presenting sponsor of the McCollum Park Spray Ground 2023 and 2024 for a total contract of $35,000. I did want to mention that we value this package at $30,000. A lot of it is soft costs, so things that we would be doing anyway, press releases, advertising, we'll just be including them as our presenting sponsor. The direct expenses are for those hard costs like signage, banners, that sort of thing. Those direct expenses are only $4,000, so our net revenue is $31,000 on the 2-year agreement. Any questions?
I was also asked a question from a board member that happens to use the dentist. Is there a dentist? That would be a conflict of interest. The answer would be no. So if this is your dentist, that's fine. You don't have any personal gain, so there is no conflict of interest.
Thank you, Bill.
Any other questions, comments?
None for me. It's exciting.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to authorize the executive director to enter into a 2-year agreement with Jackson Family Dentistry as the presenting sponsor of the McCollum Park Spray Ground for 2023 and 2024 for a total contract value of $35,000.
I'll second the motion.
I'm assuming there's no more discussion, so roll call, please.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom.
Aye.
Mr. Katsula,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye. Motion passed, our first big sponsor. Thank you, Dawn and Darby and everyone else over there.
Our final action item this evening, we're seeking approval for the executive director to ratify an agreement with Cali Elevator Company to complete the repairs on the Recreation Center elevator, not to exceed $100,000, including any issues found during the project. And thank you to the board for responding to our emergency request. I did hear back from the board to proceed, so I did execute that contract. We're just looking for ratification at this point. Thanks to Kevin for working very quickly on working on this issue with the lead time that we're going to have and the amount of time that the elevator is going to be down. And Kevin can answer any questions, or I can try that as well. We do have a little bit of that catch-all in there, and Kevin probably knows this way better than I do, but until we open up that elevator and open up that cylinder, we don't exactly know why it's leaking. So there may be some repairs that we're not quite aware of that we need to move pretty quickly once we open it up to finish it.
Right. Yeah, so basically I received a call on January 2nd, the day after New Year's, stating that the elevator wasn't working. I came in just to take a look, and you know, there's a couple of tricks to getting the elevator going again, and none of them worked. So I was like, okay, so I had to call Cali Elevator, which is our the company that services the elevator, and they pretty much they sent their tech out the following morning, and he said there's no oil in the elevator. The only place the oil could be is down in the ground, and so he came back the following day after putting the elevator under pressure, and with the elevator engineer, and they determined that the cylinder was leaking in the ground. So all the oil went into the ground. So they in order to move the elevator car, they actually had to put 15 gallons of oil in the control box to get the elevator to move again. So obviously they sent their quote over. We saw the quote and realized that, you know, I went back out to a couple other companies to get pricing, just because obviously the dollar amount, and they were the most competitive. And then I asked for, you know, we said, well, we have the elevator down. What are some things that we can do to, you know, from a preventative maintenance standpoint, what can we do with it other than modernizing? Modernizing is significantly more money. And they recommended replacing the motor, starter, and valve. So we're recommending, you know, moving, you know, the executive director to enter into an agreement with Cali Elevator not to exceed $100,000. One of the things that we did and the reason why we put that in there is because all three quotes came back with clauses when they go ahead and pull the cylinder out. There's a PVC liner in the ground that separates the cylinder from earth. And they said that if they pull that liner out and it caves in, then they'll have an issue and they have to basically re-drill it. And that could range anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 to do that. So we don't know what we're in for, but one of the things that I do know is I'm not sure that, you know, I know Lincoln Center's elevator, that cylinder, I think is probably 45 years old. So, you know, this was something that was unexpected. But like I said, it's we wanted to move forward really quickly just because all three companies had just about the same lead time on the cylinder. So it's unfortunate, especially this time of year, but we're moving as quickly as we can, and everything's moving as of right now, so.
And I've also had a conversation with CSPAR. We have an agreement on not every little thing, but where they share in the cost for this facility since they have the space in there. And we've kind of made over the years determination, we did not bill them for like the parking lot. Everybody's using it. It's just normal wear and tear. But for the elevator, I did ask that they would help assist in that for a percentage of that, particularly because they're probably the largest user of that elevator going up and down. So it made some sense. They were totally fine with that. So we will get some reimbursement from them on this project.
Tough start to the year, Kevin.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said, especially with all the activity and everything in the building.
Never good to be on Eric's naughty list.
No, I know.
Question for you. Do we have to notify the ADA?
So I talked to the elevator company and they said we do not. The thing they recommended was notifying just the fire department.
Okay.
Fire prevention, that's all.
Got it. Okay.
And
Thanks.
from the ADA standpoint, it's out of our control. We're moving very quickly. We're addressing it. It's as reasonable as we can be. To have a conversation with Kathy for alternatives. We really don't have a good alternative. The access point at the lower level, the door that goes outside, the slope is way off for anybody accessing that. And that path isn't designed for car traffic and turning around. It just really isn't a good way to do that. Now we have had conversations and staff is implementing. Our biggest thing that we have going on is youth basketball. And we do attract a lot of grandparents and other folks for that. So 2 dates,
Yes,
I don't know
so
what the two are, but we have 2 dates over the course of basketball season that we're going to close the track and allow viewing from up above. And we'll advertise that as dates that we'll be able to have ADA access from above.
Great.
We can't do it every week simply because that track is packed. So we're trying to balance access from ADA as well as use of that track.
Got it.
I think it's like midpoint and then the very end.
yeah, so it's an 8-week season. We're gonna do the 4th week and the last week. So it'll actually be 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays, but different weekends because Super Bowl Sunday, we don't have games. So they are off a little bit, but that works out, not closing the track for an entire weekend. But with that too, games on Sundays don't start till noon. So the track will still be open for those wanting to use the track from 7 to noon. And then it'll be closed for the spectators for basketball. So it's a nice mix.
Thanks.
Yeah, things are working out some alternative options. Okay, so motion, please.
I can go. I move to approve the executive director to enter into an agreement with Kali Elevator Company to complete the repairs on the Recreation Center elevator not to exceed $100,000.
I'll second the motion.
Any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dahlstrom?
Aye.
Ms. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Bender?
Aye.
Mr. Katsula?
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney?
Aye, motion passed.
Yes, that is the way to get on to Eric's naughty
I didn't want to go into his office that day. So
Hey, the good news is you're there January 2nd and you've got 364 days to get off the list. Or not less, yeah, less than that, actually, 358 maybe.
yeah, right.
You better get started because it's taking you a while.
Bake sales.
Lemonade stands.
Michelle can help me out.
Okay, board business. All I can say is we're in another great year. I'm looking forward to all the exciting things that are going to be happening this year. And I just want to once again thank Dawn and everyone else, Dean, to working on the changes to how we present the meeting minutes, the documents. I think that'll be very good, as I said before. Now I have no other comments. Any commissioner comments?
None for me.
No? No? Okay. Staff.
Thanks. I have a few things to report. First, I like to point out and thank Kevin for, as you all noticed when you walked in, the room remodel that we had here. Same thing is happening over at 503 at the Lincoln Center. That's probably more dramatic than this because that was in way worse shape than this was, but those are happening as well. Couple things that in future meetings and workshop meetings, preparing and been working on to bring forward to the board. And Paul and I had a conversation today with a consultant to help us start updating our master plan. And so we're getting some information back from this individual that we talked to today. And then probably once I get that, and if it all works out, I'll bring that forward to the board for discussion. I'm thinking of doing some timing on that, some background work, and knowing that we're going to have at least one new board member on the board come next time to do some of the board input and community input right after seating the board, but we're moving forward on that. Paul will also be leading that project, so I'm assuring him we won't get hot and heavy until after McCollum opens up. So maybe he can sleep, but that's moving forward. I've also been having some Zoom meeting and conversations with different firms on a feasibility study for Gelwick's Park. I finally have gotten some that I think are actually capable for what we need to do. So I'm working on that as well. And we'll be bringing that forward for discussion in the next few months. In addition to that, Mike and our staff, and along with Kevin and I met today. We've had the Prairie Buffer Plan that's kind of been a working document. We're working on updating that, putting what we've already done on there and putting some plans on that, and we will get that to the board as well. And then we'll turn it over to marketing before we do that to make that look and read nice. One of the other things that has just occurred, which is really kind of excellent news, is the Illinois Nature Preserve Conservatory has started a foundation, and they're actually going to be presenting at the conference on Saturday. Unfortunately, I can't make the session as I have a conflict, but I'm trying to set up a meeting either at the conference or afterwards with the head of the foundation, and their sole purpose is to be able to raise money to give to park districts and entities that own Illinois nature preserves, which we do at Belmont Prairie, and not just for the Prairie, but they would specifically pointed out they would help fund for buffer areas and the reconstitution of those, which is exactly what we have. So that'll help us with this plan. We'll be able to hopefully submit some grant funding for that. So very exciting. That's all falling into place. One of the other things we had talked at the end of the year that I had organized a meeting with the representatives from the village, the school, and the library to talk about the unhoused in our community, as well as with the county and PADS having purchased the old Red Roof Inn and making that temporary housing location, and just what that impact is on the community and how we can help and assist those individuals. We have, coming out of that, we determined that we really should all meet together as a group with the county and with PADS and start coordinating and determine what's best our roles. One of the things that we've identified, aside from those that have been living in the parks, that we have a lot of young children in our community that are unhoused or they're at the Red Roof Inn, that are in our school districts that really don't have any services after the school. i.e. our basketball programs and our different things, and how do we coordinate that and all the issues that go with that from transportation to you name it. So February 19th is the meeting that we have to start those conversations. So those are happening, and I'm very excited from the standpoint that, once again, kind of like with COVID, all the different entities are coming together to address a community-wide issue, coordinated together, and we're doing this together and not, each going out on their own individual way. So that is happening. And
Bill, can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Do we have any directional information to the amount of children that,
so it fluctuates,
okay,
but there's between 25 and 30 that are currently in the school as of November, December. So that number changes.
Okay.
One of the issues that the school by law, if a unhoused child starts the school year in Downers Grove School District, and say they move or they go out of the district to Rockford, and this is an actual situation that's occurring now. In order to create stability within that child's life, which is a really great thing, the school district needs to keep them enrolled within the school district, so they're not bouncing from school district to school district. The school district is responsible for transportation, so if they're in Rockford, they need to transfer here if the family so chooses. So those are some of the issues that we would face too if we were in a basketball program, and how do you do some of those things? And again, it's trying to create some stability for the children. And we're also looking at the other issues where, this summer we had an individual that, to my knowledge, was a Downers Grove resident, was in the ex-military, and has pretty severe post-traumatic syndrome, and was living at Fishel Park in the band shell. So how do we, we also have to have concerts and different things, but how do we address that in a very humane way? And we can't do that alone as a park district, and we have worked kind of ad hoc with the village through their social services, but it just seems to us to make the most sense that we're all on the same page and we're all coordinating, and we create all our communications, and we're doing this all together.
thanks, appreciate it.
And then lastly, I want to give a little shout out to Felicia Camato from the museum. I like architecture, and so we offer through the museum a Zoom thing on catalog houses today, and the number of them in Downers Grove. And Felicia ran a really great Zoom presentation. And I think there was probably 12 or 15 other folks on the Zoom thing. And it was just, it was great that it was on Zoom, and they did a really fantastic job, super professional. I was very proud of them. It was something that you could kind of see on like the History Channel or something. Between the two of them, it was color commentary with seriousness, and it was really good. So I did talk with Michelle and Felicia about, hey, let's make sure we record that so we can make that available in our archives for other people to watch. So she did remember to turn it on, because I heard that we are recording. And so it was really great. It was just, I just wanted to point that out. It was kind of a really great program that we did. And again, still being creative. That came out of COVID.
Yeah.
We used to do it all in person, and then we went to the Zoom, and Felicia's like, let's just keep leveraging that. So I just wanted to shout out to that. It was really good.
Yeah, we'll have to let us know when that link is available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was interesting because they gave the whole history on how the catalog industry, why it started, why it failed. And then they have catalog snippets to the different floor plans and the different manufacturers, because it wasn't just Sears, it was a whole number of them. And then examples of the houses that are still existing today in Downers Grove, up against what the catalog looked like. And you can see the different changes. And one of the things that I was totally surprised at is the amount of research that volunteers put in to actually confirm that they are really catalog houses, and not houses that have pieces of catalog houses or hardware from catalog houses that make you think that it might be, or a local contractor just took the print and created it too. So I didn't realize there was so much forensics that went into this, but there is. So it was very interesting. I mean, happy to answer any questions.
None for me.
None? Okay. Well, I guess, Michelle, you're up
Yes.
for recreation.
So to give you a few highlights from recreation in December, we had our senior holiday luncheon on December 7th. This was the first time we have hosted that event since 2019. We had 46 seniors there, and what made it really special was we had 50 students from the Downers Grove North High School Choir come and perform as the entertainment. The seniors absolutely loved it. It was really great as a community involvement to have a kickoff to that event and bring it back. Also in December, we had our Marion Bright event at the museum with 267 people coming to the museum that day. And we had the 1846 house open along with the Montreux Dunham History Center and the 1892 house. So that was a great event. And then Candy Cane Lane, that took place at the Lincoln Center in early December. We take over the whole Lincoln Center for that event. Every single floor is used, different rooms. It's an open house style event with Santa, Mrs. Claus, the Grinch, which was the highlight of the event, and bounce houses, cookie decorating, and all sorts of fun. So that was really great. And all of these events are the first time without COVID restrictions. So that was a really nice thing to see everyone out and participating. A couple of highlights that actually are not in your report, talking about pickleball. Just yesterday, if you look up at the desk on your way out, we actually have a survey up there for pickleball participants to really gauge interest on, we know that there's interest in wanting more times, but with leagues, lessons, what times that would work best, early mornings, later in the day. Our gym space is tough this time of year. It's a lot of activities going on, but if we can really narrow down where the most interested, if it's lessons, okay, that's what we're going to focus on. If it's leagues, that's what we'll focus on, and then expand upon that. So we do have the ball rolling on that. So we're getting a lot of feedback so far, even just in a day. So it's been great. And then youth basketball, as Bill mentioned, you probably saw everyone coming in and out for practices. We have games starting this weekend. So we are at record numbers. We have 1,448 participants this year, which compared, it's about 71 more than last year. So last year was high as well. But pre-COVID, we're up 238 participants from 2019. So it continues to grow. We expect the same from our other youth sports, but we're excited for the season to kick off. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
None for me. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate the update.
Very good. Dawn, marketing.
I just have a couple of quick highlights. The marketing team, I mean, we're over the last month and a half, we've really just kind of been in summer mode. So there's been a lot of planning, sponsorship meetings. I mean, we're on full force summer right now. We're working on the summer guide with the recreation team. So that'll be delivered to residents beginning February 22nd. We've been working on the Belmont Golf Club website. That's moving right along. We're hoping to launch that on February 1st so that we're all set for the season. Just working on, getting all of our materials updated with our new logo so that we're ready for that launch. And then we are also planning our Earth Day volunteer cleanup. So that will be held on April 22nd at Fishel Park and Dunham Place Park. So we already have several groups that have expressed interest, and we'll just be doing some cleaning up and some mulching projects. So working closely with Mike Stelter to make sure that that happens. So are there any questions for me this evening?
Questions? No. Thanks, Dawn. Paul, planning.
Good evening. I just wanted to give a quick update on McCollum Park. Fortunately, our contractor was able to make quite a bit of progress in December. We had decent weather through most of the month, had really cold temperatures right before Christmas, but the first part of the month was good. One important piece that they accomplished was the first layer of asphalt on the tennis and pickleball courts. They really wanted to get that in so that that would be the subgrade, the base below it would be kind of protected from the winter snow and other activities. So now it's kind of locked in essentially. Then they'll come back in the spring to put a second layer of asphalt on it, and then continue with the color coding and the fencing. But that was important to get that down. Another important step that they were able to accomplish has to do with the building expansion. So they did pour the concrete foundations for the building expansion. Those were poured in early December. And then after that had time to cure and everything, the mason was there actually the week between Christmas and New Year's, putting up the block walls, the exterior walls of that addition portion. So those went up. They were finishing those today and tomorrow, just the last few little parts of it. And then they actually have, on Monday, they'll have the trusses to build the roof are being delivered. They're getting prefabricated trusses that are being delivered on Monday. And this is very important to be able to keep going with the project. They want to be able to get that roof on, close up that addition so they can be doing work inside the addition during winter. So that will be very good news if they can keep going even when it's colder. And then they also did some work on the light poles for the tennis and pickleball courts, getting some of the foundations set for those so that then they can start putting those poles up and running electrical wiring to those pole bases as well. So a lot of good work happening. Still more work happening, with the decent weather for January, I should say, that's been happening last week and this week. We've had pretty good temperatures. One thing they were not able to accomplish, unfortunately, the pathway work. We were really hoping they would get at least part of the pathway completed, the renovation of the pathway completed before winter. And unfortunately, they just didn't get as far as they had hoped. And asphalt was no longer available beginning of December. It was that first week of December when the asphalt plants shut down for winter. So they had to stop working on that. So they have all of the pathway work to do in the spring, but they're anticipating starting that, getting back in on those pathways probably in March. And potentially paving those. Usually the asphalt will be available mid-April to then repave those pathways in the spring. So good progress.
Hey, Paul, would you say that if you look at the project plan, are we ahead of schedule right now, given the weather?
We are not ahead of schedule, but I would say we're in a good place. We've been asking them, we asked them recently for an update to the full project schedule.
Yeah.
And at this moment, they're saying we are still on track to be completed for July 4th weekend. A lot of that's going to depend on they get the roof closed up, with the addition, and how long winter kind of stretches out. If we have like a long winter, when those asphalt plants open up and we can start paving the pathways and things like that.
Sure.
So there's still weather variable involved, but what they're showing us right now in terms of the schedule is that we're on schedule.
Got it. Okay. Well, the way things are going right now, we may have snow on the ground.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm worried about. Everything's just being
Some room in there, the schedule that we looked at, but
right.
Okay, thanks. I've driven by and tried to peek as much as possible when I can.
It's messy at the moment.
Yeah. I know.
it's a little muddy back there.
Yeah.
And I forgot to bring extra shoes, so I had to go to Goodwill and buy myself a pair of shoes for the day.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any other questions about McCollum or any of the other projects on the report.
No questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Kevin.
All right. Parks has been busy, not with ice skating or sled hills. They've been busy out actually working in the parks, so we've gotten a lot of cleanup and, just bench replacement. A lot of picnic benches built and replaced out in the parks. And then, some signage and things like that. So park staff has been busy with that. Last Friday was the last day to drop at the Christmas tree drop off. We ended up with 185 trees between Whitlock and McCullum that were dropped off. And then in the facilities, as Bill mentioned, we're very busy at the end of the year doing some painting in rooms. We replaced the floor, painted in here, and then room 503 at Lincoln Center. We did the floor painted, put a new ceiling in there and new blinds. So it looks totally different. And then we painted a couple other rooms at Lincoln Center and did blinds in those rooms as well.
Apparently blinds are a hit with Michelle's staff.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were so excited.
Those blinds, I think, are about 30 years old. So at least.
Some were missing.
At least.
I think you might be kind.
Yeah, right.
Eric, the ROI on that eclipsed 25 years ago.
Nice job.
It doesn't make.
I make up- yeah, I was gonna
Elevator, but-
With that, I'll take any questions.
Just Sandra and I noticed today,
Yeah,
there is a huge amount of geese over at Prince Pond.
Prince Pond, okay.
So, and I know it's way too early to put in the disbander, but
Yeah,
there's gonna be a whole lot of mess.
well, with the weather,
Yeah.
it's hanging around.
Yeah, I mean, so I would anticipate mess issues.
Take a look.
There was,
See what we can do. We might just throw the gander disbander out there, but we'll see how the weather goes.
yeah,
And if not, we could throw some, we have the coyote decoys, those help.
those,
Well.
yeah, we were talking about
Yeah.
those. Yeah. But we're like, wow, we never saw this much,
yeah, not. in
many
January.
geese in January
Yeah.
out there. And there were ducks in the water. It was like springtime.
I know. It's, yeah, this weather has been crazy. For sure.
My son would like you to turn Prince Pond into an ice machine.
Yeah.
So he can go ice skating.
It would be nice. It's with the week of cold weather that we had, I think we had about 4 inches, which was interesting.
Not anymore.
Oh,
All right, thanks, Kevin. All right, Eric.
Not much to say about the finances for year end. They finished the year very strong. There's still quite a few entries that we're booking on the accounting side before the audit takes place in mid-February, mid to late February. So those numbers will change a little bit, but in the end, the outcome will be the same. We will have an efficiency and we'll have carry forward dollars for the projects that Paul has talked about. What I really want to notate are our revenue spreadsheets in the back of the packet. The first being the recreation fee one, which is on page 6. Some numbers that really stand out to me on this are a 40% increase in rec revenues for this 2022 fiscal year. That's great performance and everybody can say, well, we were coming off the pandemic. However, if we look a little closer, we can see that we hit 2.7 million compared to 2.3, 2.4 before the pandemic. And as some of you may remember, we were saying, okay, how do we grow from there back in 18 and 19? And somehow Michelle and Dave and their staff have found a way to continue to grow them. So big kudos to them on that. And there's a lot expected for this year with Kevin's project already starting off for us. The next spreadsheet is fitness. The last month of the year, we had $67,000 of revenue. That's the most we've had since pre-pandemic. Corresponding with some of the spreadsheets in the rec department have shown. Our numbers are finally starting to get up there. We're not quite back to where we were before. As you'll see, we were probably about 2/3 of where we were, but it's growing and that's what's important. And we continue to expect to see that with our marketing efforts, with our new programs that are being offered as part of fitness. And then finally, golf, the little engine that can't stop. The golf revenues are shown here as just 1.4 million, but that's just our right fee revenues. You take all of golf in combination, we had 1,815,000 at this point. That's the first time we've eclipsed 1.8 million. So it did grow over last year. We continue to produce out there. And it was a very strong summer, as you can see from this spreadsheet, is the months of June, July, August, and into November really is what set us apart after a slow spring. So those were very reassuring numbers. And with updates this year and the name change, we expect another big year. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Any questions?
No. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Eric. Kevin, I think it's going to be a long year for you.
I know, I'm not gonna live it down.
Just be prepared.
And your office is right next to them.
Right.
You know, Dave and I used to bang on the wall right there.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. C-SPAR?
Yeah, I do have one thing with C-SPAR. So, as you know, there's 12 communities within C-SPAR. One of the unique things about C-SPAR, we're the only special recreation association that is actually split east and west by another SRA. And so think Willowbrook and then north and south. That SRA is it's called Gateway SRA, and they're also very unique themselves, as they're the only SRA that doesn't have any paid staff. They actually contract out to the Ray Graham Association to provide all their services. So kind of a unique situation. Tends to be a lot of smaller communities and villages. Willowbrook, who years and years and years ago used to be part of C-SPAR before they went to Gateway, have been inquiring about rejoining C-SPAR. So we've been having some of those conversations. And we've had staff put together some analysis. One of the things that we found is we are already serving a number of the Willowbrook residents. They're coming to us for our programs and our services. Willowbrook has also built a new room, a new building for the recreation department. And they're literally, so if you know where the Darien Sportsplex is, Willowbrook, literally, the property line is Willowbrook on the other side. So they're right there. So staff recommendation has been to admit them as part of the C-SPAR, and actually we'll start to, it's not a donut hole, it's more like a strip, start to kind of close that. Unlike with when Lamont joined, where they added a staff person and added a van and really expanded, Willowbrook is so small and we're already serving them that we see no impact on the operation, other than them contributing financially. Again, that's not going to have a big impact to us because again, they're so small and spread over the 12 organizations. So it just made some sense for us to admit them into C-SPAR. So the board did vote unanimously to do that. How the process works is now an updated joint agreement will come to all the member agencies boards. We need to have a majority of those boards approve the changes in the joint agreement, allowing Willowbrook to join. Their agreement with Gateway requires them to give a 1.5 year notice. So once we would get the agreements on our end and they know for sure they're going to join, they would give that notification. And then it would be a 1.5 years before they would start to be a full member. We did have discussions about creating some welcoming transition for their participants so we can start that process. And staff is supposed to bring that back to us. And so this really is kind of a long lead time before they come in, but it kind of made some sense for us to do that. So I just wanted to give a heads up to the board that you'll be seeing that. My recommendation is to admit them into CSPAR. The CSPAR board also had some lengthy discussions as to what if other members of Gateway approach us and want to be members. And what we have done in the past, and we kind of reiterated that we would do that going forward, is we'll really take those community by community. And the things that we look at is impact on to CSPAR and what that community can bring to CSPAR, and does the fit make sense? And we want to make sure that we're strengthening our service model to all our communities and not weakening it by admitting someone. So if a community comes and we say they're not a good fit, and frankly, it's going to weaken our service, we probably would recommend not admitting to them. So we don't think that domino situation is going to happen. A lot of the other communities are very happy. They basically write a track, hand it over to Ray Graham, and they're done. So CSPAR is a little more involved in that. I think our services are a little better too, a lot better. And one of the things that really precipitated Willowbrook was the summer camps and the Eagles program, and being able to participate in those and have access to that. So that will be coming forward. And happy to answer any questions on that in the process.
Why the 18-month lead time?
I think, and I don't know what if we were to leave CSPAR, I don't know what our time is. But most of those agreements have a fairly long lead time in it, because that's a lost revenue source when a community leaves. It allows the organization that you're exiting to plan for that eventual loss of revenue. When Lamont came in, Lamont made the decision at the time to join CSPAR right away and pay. They had money in the SRA account to be able to basically be members of both agencies at the same time. Willowbrook is not in that situation, so they're choosing not to do that. But that allowed Tri-County at the time to reconstitute with losing a member. Got it. You would think if we were to say leave CSPAR, which I don't recommend at all doing, but if we did and we said, let's Darien and Woodridge and us all go in and create our own SRA, that's about 60% of the membership dues to CSPAR. So that would give them time, so they didn't just collapse to figure out what they were going to do.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Any other questions? Okay. Any unfinished business?
I have.
No? Any unfinished business? No. How about new business?
The only thing I have is a reminder, next week is the state recreation conference in Chicago. I believe everybody's going to be coming to lunch. And I think Dean, you sent out where our table is, basically front stage right. And we do have Senator Gloria Hilton, who joined us last year. She's joining us again this year. So I will greet her at the door and meet you at the table.
Okay, very good. This is our.
Oh, before you do that, just as a reminder, and the senator is the senator that sponsored the grant money, the member initiative money for Constitution Park. So I was.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah, in fact, I need to, before I leave, talk to you. I want to bring something for her to see what we're going to be doing there. So I'll get you before you leave tonight. So just to thank her, and we'll try and have something to show her what her efforts are doing for the community.
Good, yeah. Okay, so this is our second opportunity for visitors. Do we have any online? No? Okay.
Basketball.
High school, we hope.
That's good.
Seeing none, I'll announce that the next Downers Grove Park District Park Board meeting will be held February 2nd, 2023 at the Recreation Center Multipurpose Room. I believe there's no executive session.
Correct.
So can I just have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move to adjourn.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Ms. McDonald,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Petula.
Aye.
Mr. Mahoney.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.